I don't want to say aggressive, but they want her to do well and they encourage her a lot. So she really tries real hard and she does well. So she's definitely been one of our MVPs this year. She's pitched every game for us and had some real big hits here and there. And yeah, she's definitely a good kid.
Love it, man. Hey, okay, Jimmy, we're live here. Not the smartest guys in the room. We're streaming. So last night, I attended a softball game. Jimmy is my friend. Jimmy's coaching third base, volunteering to coach third base. He does not have a child on the team. His son is now in college and in the reserves, but he wants to help out any way he can. So we went and rooted on his team, and they won their game last night, Tom. So I'm just reminiscing about that. Yvonne, what's going on? We're going to talk about what captivates you today. What makes you buy? What grabs your attention? Looks like Tom has a new hat on today. I mean, I know he probably has a lot of these hats, but is this hat new, Tom?
This is a new hat, Dom. Thanks for noticing. My old hat had seen better days, and I got to give a shout out to the company whose hat I'm wearing. It's obviously it's got my logo on it, it's got my patch on it, but it's made by a company named Melon. I really like their hats. Get it, Melon, for your melon. But I really like their hats, and I had a problem with one of the hats that I had from them, the hat that I used to wear all the time, where it had kind of started like discoloring, and it just sort of looked dirty, and nothing I could do would get it clean. And so I called them up and I said, "Hey, here's the problem. What can I do?" And they said, "Did you follow our cleaning instructions online?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "Okay, no worries then. What would you like as a replacement?" And so they sent me a new hat to replace it. They have a lifetime guarantee. And they said, if you follow the directions, the instructions for the cleaning process, and it didn't work, and the discoloring, like I sent them a picture, they saw the discoloring. They said, yeah, we'll send you a new hat. No problem. So they sent me a new hat and I put the patch on it. I just got it the other day, put the patch on it, and we're off to the races.
There you go. So I'll give you a perfect segue. So as we're talking about today, what grabs your attention? The other day I'm listening to it. I tend to lose sunglasses, and like they'll fall in the ocean, they'll get sat on, I'll misplace them wherever I'm at. I swim in the lake with sunglasses on, whatever. So yeah, Tom, I did buy goggles recently, but anyway. So I heard a commercial the other day, and it said, "We will replace your broken or lost sunglasses." And I'm thinking, well, it grabbed my attention. They asked a question, or they proposed a scenario. So to this, what grabs your attention? Here they are realizing a problem. I'm guessing I might not be the only person that has this issue, and they said, "We will replace your sunglasses." I think I got to look into it more. Now, could it be a crazy amount of money? Maybe, and it's not worth it for me because they're still going to break. But if they're going to replace them, what do you think, Tom?
So is it like sunglasses insurance?
No, it's a whole. They are a sunglass dealer.
Okay.
So part of how people buy razors, where you razor the month. This is like sunglasses forever. So you buy. I haven't looked at the price or anything yet. I'm just saying they grabbed my attention. So I need to know more. I want to research this now.
Yeah, I mean, good point. I would say right off the bat, I would say if you can't find your sunglasses, you should probably look to see if they're with your gloves. That's an inside joke from when Dom and I did our road trip in February. He had a little trouble finding his gloves, and so that was that was just a little barb at Dom for everybody who missed that. But anyway, yeah, it sounds like basically it's an insurance. Like they ran the numbers, right? They ran the numbers. They looked at what their cost is versus what the subscription fee is, and they were like, hey, we can still make money as a business if people just pay this like monthly fee and they just get a new pair of sunglasses, whenever they need them, right? They looked at the markup and the costs and they did the math and the calculations and they realized, hey, as a business, it works. So I mean, good for them. Cause like I am unsurprised to hear, Dom, that you are not the only person that misplaces sunglasses. It happens, I think, to a lot of people, a fair number of people. And so yeah, I think it's a good idea. It sounds like it makes sense to me. So yeah, that's, I don't know, that's my thought on it, but it makes sense because it also, like, it grabbed your attention. Here's why I would argue it grabs your attention, is because it solved a problem for you. Right. And I think that's one of those things that really, generally speaking, tends to grab people's attention most often, is when they come across something that answers a question, solves a problem, provides them with value. Right. And that was the value to you for that piece of content from that company was, hey, I'm that guy. I lose my sunglasses all the time. I can never find the darn things. I'm misplacing them everywhere. Right. Liz is always giving me grief because I can't find my shades, or I lost another pair of sunglasses, right? Yeah, so like, you're exactly who they're trying to work with, right? Who they're trying to solve a problem for, and you found value in what they were talking about, and the business that they've developed, and so it grabbed your attention. But I think really, like, if you boil it down, distill it down, make a syrup out of what this comes down to me. Shockingly, you're going to be floored by this. This is quite the revelation. I think it comes down to value. What value do you get out of the content, right? Or the information, right? Whatever that case is, like, whatever the case may be, whatever the context is, I think that ultimately it comes down to value. And if someone is providing value to you, whether it's entertainment, information, education, whatever the case may be, solving a problem for you, if they're providing you value, it's going to be engaging. It's going to grab your attention.
That's a good answer. That's a good start here, Tom. You got us. Now, as soon as you're talking, I'm thinking about videos people make, and I started thinking it must be a cardinal sin not to have right on the video, like, let's say I'm on a YouTube or a TikTok or something like that, some kind of, and like, answering the question or something right off the bat with in the picture of the video. What do you think? Is that a cardinal sin, Tom? Now, granted, it might not look perfect, but if we're trying to get people to look at it, should I solve their problem just visually in 3 seconds?
Hang on one second, Dom. I'm just trying to fix something. I just realized we don't have any audio on the live stream for you or Club Deck, and I'm just trying to fix it real quick. So right now, everybody in the live stream can only hear me. So just stand by 1 second. Why don't we go to somebody else in the room? I just need to fix this.
Jim, Ajay, then we're going Yvonne, Julie. What grabs your attention in whether it's a book you're buying, a video you're watching? Is there one thing right off the bat? Is it different each time? What grabs your attention, Mr. Ajay?
Well, to Tom's point, I agree with the value, but as I've gotten older, quality means more. So, a good example, I threw away 2 coolers yesterday. They're old, crappy, they didn't last very long. But recently I bought a nicer cooler that is nicer, will last long, a little bit more expensive. But as you get older and you have more money, value comes with, you look at that value a little bit more. The old saying, you get what you pay for, that comes into play as well. You don't want to buy something cheap or cheaply made. You want to buy something that's well made. So that's sort of value. A little different than what Tom says with value, but value in the same sense.
Okay, value. There it is.
I mean, I would argue that falls right in line, Jim, because ultimately you're talking about what's important to you, right? And important to you is value in terms of, like, build quality, right? So that's what you value at that point in your life, quality over quantity, right? You'd rather have 1 of something that's really, really good than 10 of something that's mediocre or not that great. So yeah, so I would say I think that's the same. I think it falls in the same vein as what I was saying. So I wouldn't say it's different. I would say it's actually kind of the same.
There you go. What do you think, Jimmy? Is that a fair rebuttal?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it definitely falls similar. So yeah, I would say it's good. And yeah, I mean, some things you don't need to buy great quality for, but some things you do need better quality items for. You know, if you're like Dom said, if you're going to be swimming in a lake and it's going to be freezing cold, you want to have a really good neoprene suit or something that you're wearing. You don't want to be wearing, something off the shelf that isn't going to protect you from the cold. So, value comes in different ways, but value is important. Yes.
There we go. All right, Jimmy. This is not the smartest guys in the room. I will tell you right now, I love my Igloo coolers. My Igloo coolers have treated me well for 30 years. They're adorable. I can like throw them and they just get a little scratch on the side. They're plastic. I'm not buying a Yeti. Sorry. My value system says my Igloo's pretty good for 50th of the money. I'm not buying a Yeti. Now, does that make me not cool? Maybe, because I show up with an old Igloo cooler from 20 years ago. But what say you, Tom? And then let's go to Yvonne on what's grabbing her attention.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, like value, I think the value differs from person to person. And this goes back to something we talk about a lot, right? Is that like you can't try to be all things to all people, right? You have to be okay with and understand that you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. So I would argue that in your case, in your example that you're giving with the Igloo cooler versus like a Yeti cooler, right? I mean, obviously, Igloo coolers are much less expensive than a Yeti cooler. They're also not as insulative over time, right? So like a Yeti might be able to keep ice for 3 days, right? Whereas an igloo, it's going to be water after 24 hours, right? It's all going to have melted after 24 hours. So the question is, what do you value, right? Like for you, you're saying like, look, man, I'm taking a cooler to the beach for the day or to like the park for the day or whatever, or cookout. I don't need it to keep ice for 3 days. I just need it to keep things cold for like a few hours. And an igloo cooler does that just fine, right? But if you're going camping and you're going to be out for 3 days and you want a cooler that's going to keep your food, your perishable food from going bad for multiple days when you don't have access to electricity, right? Then maybe a Yeti is worth the extra money because for your use case, it's more important. So like for the camper, they're going to look at your igloo cooler and say like, hey man, that's not going to work for me, right? But for you going to a barbecue or the beach, you're going to look at their Yeti cooler and go, man, that's a waste of money. Right. So it all depends on who you're talking to. And you just have to accept that you're not going to be all things to all people. And not everyone is going to drink the Kool-Aid out of your igloo or Yeti cooler. Right. So you have to be okay with not being all things to all people, I think.
You made a good case for Yeti. Well done. But I am not a camper. You're right. I just want to go to the concert for the day, to the Steeler game, and have ice for 4 hours before. So that makes me happy. So, all right. Thank you all for being here. Julie, Howard, Sahar, Sally, Yvonne, Jason, our buddy Jim Ajay, and of course, the host with the most, Tom. So, Yvonne, what makes you what grabs your attention? What is it that captivates you? What is it that makes you read the book, watch the video, push play on a 40-minute podcast? What is it?
I definitely have to go to the idea that it's solving a problem, but I'm always, if we talk about what's grabbing my attention, usually it's something funny, or that pulls at my heartstrings somehow. There's a surprise and delight kind of aspect to things that tend to grab my attention. I don't know that, like, I can't say that quality grabs my attention, but if you're pointing out that difference between a Yeti and an Igloo cooler, in a really quick way that shows the difference. Hey, if you just want something to take to the beach, great. But if you want something for, did you ever have the problem where you're out on a camping trip and you got to replace ice every day? Boom, your problem is solved. And so that's a great attention grabber. But quality in and of itself, I don't think would grab my attention.
Which I think makes perfect sense, Yvonne. I mean, it's, to each their own, right? Like go back to what I said, that you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, right? I mean, if if the main pitch for someone's product is quality, then maybe you're not their target market, right? Or their target audience. I think at the end of the day, you have to know who you're talking to. And what I mean by that is you don't have to actually know the individuals, right? But you have to have created a client avatar, so to speak, or a customer avatar, right? Like you have to have like thought through like, who is this? If I had to create out of nothing, out of thin air, if I had to build my ideal audience member, the ideal member of my community, who is that person? And I think if you do that, then you dramatically increase the odds that when you go to create content, when you go to talk to those people, right, you're going to be creating content for the right person, right, in the right context, with the right messaging, using the right context and tools to grab their attention. So I think it comes down to that. But, at the end of the day, if you're going to solve a problem for anyone, you have to know who you're solving the problem for. And if you're going to provide value to anyone, you have to know who you're providing the value for, right? If someone came to you and said, hey, I need you to buy a gift for someone, right? What's the first question you're going to ask? Who are they, right? What do they like? What do they need? What's important to them, right? All of these kinds of questions, right? That's what you should be asking yourself when you're talking about creating content or delivering value for your audience. Who are they? What do they want? What do they need? What problems do they have? What can you solve for them? And it doesn't have to be just about your product or service, right? And in fact, I would argue, as I do in Legendeering, that it shouldn't be necessarily about your product and service first, right? It should be about your customer first, what they need, right? So you serve them first, right? You deliver value to them first, and then they reciprocate that value by supporting your brand or your business, and either recommending your products or services or hiring you for them themselves. So that's what I think. But I think, yeah, at the end of the day, you have to know who you're talking to. So yeah, I don't know. Does that make sense, Dom? Did I bring?
I think that's a good answer. And I want to ask Yvonne. Yvonne, are you a TikTok user?
Not really. I mean, I have an account, but I don't go there very often. I'm on Instagram a lot, and I do a lot of reels. So I feel like there's a similarity there. Why do you ask?
I asked that because you said you like humor first. So I'm thinking that the type of content that is on TikTok, the way a lot of the stories are told, lead with humor. So I thought that might be a good space for you to receive your content. But as far as Tom's point, here's her avatar. She likes humor. She that you might be able to, if you're trying to grab her attention, it might be the client like that. It might be leading with humor. So that's all I was thinking about that.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with anything you said, Tom. I think that pointing out value is absolutely an attention grabber. If somebody can talk about a problem that I'm having, as to Dominick's lost glasses, you do something, you create a scenario. Oh my God, I've lost my glasses again, or I can't find whatever it is. Or I'm out in the woods and I got to go find ice, that kind of thing. What's actually going to grab my attention is the problem solving, which you mentioned first. And for me, an attention grabber is always, I love humor. It's something that I try to use as often as I can, because I'm talking about a topic that isn't particularly fun to talk about. It's ageism and internalized ageism and how that holds us back. So I try to, when I'm doing reels, I try to approach it with humor and kind of an edutainment sort of style, so that it's more palatable for people to hear something that they may otherwise go, oh Jesus, I don't want to hear this. Oh, and that said, I'm so sorry. I just realized what time it is, and I have to run, guys. I'm hosting a room.
I'm gonna follow you. I'm gonna make sure I'm following you on Instagram. I may already be, but if I'm not, your approach is something I'm interested in. So thank you and good luck with the room.
Thank you. I'm sorry I have to run. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks, Yvonne. Jim, did you have something you wanted to chime in with there, or?
Yeah. Hey, Dom, I just sent you a text. My new cooler that I like a lot actually is an igloo cooler, but it's the upper line that holds ice longer, like a Yeti. It's not as expensive as a Yeti and has similar features to a Yeti. So so companies like Igloo offer different types of value based on what you need. So that's something that maybe if you like a certain brand, you may want to look and see what else they offer, because there's something else that could get you excited.
Good point. You trust in the brand. I got in at this dollar amount, but I believe in them, and they're selling a higher end model. Maybe I scale up. So interesting point. Tom, go on, my friend.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say it's about that time to say thanks to everybody for being here this week. Not to end the room, but just wanted to make sure that we highlight that we appreciate the folks that show up week after week. Jim's here all the time. Jason's here all the time. Howard's here quite often. Brandon and Sally, thank you guys for being here too. And everybody who's watching or listening on the various platforms we're on the internet. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We are on Twitter, because I refuse to call it X. And we are also on Twitch. And I appreciate everyone for being here, watching, listening, and participating in the conversation. Obviously, if you're here in the Clubhouse room, you can participate very easily just by being asked to come up on stage, and we'll bring you up and you can ask a question, share some knowledge or information with folks. Or if you're watching somewhere else online, feel free to post a comment. Like if you're on LinkedIn, feel free to chime in the comments, ask a question there. We'll do our best to get to them and include them in the show. So thanks to everybody for being here with us for Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. And once again, week after week, making sure that Dom and I are not the smartest guys in the room. We're always trying to live up to the title of the show. So thanks for that.
Well done, Tom. Hey, okay, so we're going to keep on cruising here. Not the smartest guys in the room. We're talking what captivates you, what catches your eye when you're buying a book or you're clicking on a video. What is it? I like Yvonne with the humor. Okay, you better grab my attention fast. I'm telling you, you better grab my attention fast. I like to see how long video is if I knew, right? So I like consistency. Well, that I need to know. So that's that you can't say that grabs your attention because the first time I see it, okay, but that's a combination of things, but I need to know right off the bat, what's this about? Where are we going? Okay, you tell me that, I'll hang on. Now you got to get there. All right, not the smartest guys in the room. Jason, what is going on? Hey, and as of right now, except for Jamie that chimed in on YouTube from Canada, it is all guys right now. So interesting. We are all guys in a room. Jason, what do you got? What grabs your attention?
Whatever stirs my curiosity. So that grabs my attention. I mean, that's the basic. Value comes after curiosity. It's the action steps, after, when you see something, okay, what does it do? What is it? Could this be an addition, or could it solve a problem? Or it's just intriguing enough to have or do, like, for example, when you see commercials for a vacation somewhere, does what you see the commercials for vacation put you in an imaginary state to a reality state? So value comes from many different places, but curiosity is the one true definer of all of it. Like, if it has you curious or it just relieves, and most of the time I'm only interested in things that stir my curiosity.
Curiosity, what did they say? Curiosity kills the cat. And here all of a sudden it looks like my camera is all of a sudden on my screen my camera was going weird. Curiosity kills the cat. Yeah, we are on LinkedIn, and I invited some LinkedIn people. I invited people in Clubhouse. So thank you again for being here, Jason. Appreciate you. Curiosity, man. I get it. So all day long that's a good point where you look, I'm interested in that. Or all of a sudden like you want to find something out. So now I just go straight to a video. I'm looking for how to break down a YouTube video into clips. Okay. So now I'm going on who's going to answer my question. I have a question. I'm curious about it per what Jason says. And now who's going to answer it as short as can be. So I start going on. I Google. Then I look for videos. Some videos are too long. I don't have that much time. Okay. Then I find a shorter one. Then I play. So Jason, is that the process? That's mine.
Something like that. I just wanted to add, hey guys, thanks for your support on my hashtag daily walk 30, reels and posts. I do appreciate it. So
hey, we got you, man. Least we can do around here is support each other. Tom, what say you? What captivates you? Well, you never answered the question yet. You said value, but how do you know in 10 seconds this is value? So you can't say or you give everything you see 40 minutes to decide if there's value.
Well, I mean, I don't give a 60-second video 40 minutes to determine whether or not there's value, Dom. I mean, I generally, like most of us, can make that determination relatively quickly, right? But the thing is that value comes in a lot of different forms, and that's the thing is like that. I think a lot of people have trouble breaking out of, right? They think of value in terms of like money, right? Scratch, dollars, right? That's how they think of value. But value comes in a variety of forms, right? We're not talking about monetary value necessarily. So when I look at something, when I see something come across my feed, whether or not I'm going to continue watching it or listening to it or reading it, whether or not it grabs my attention, is actually sort of how the very beginning of it is positioned. Is it positioned to deliver to me? Am I the kind of put first as the audience? Am I put first in the communications, or is it about them? Right? Like there's nothing you can do to get me to scroll away, click away, move away faster from anything you put out than to make it about yourself. Right? Especially if I don't know you. Right? If it's somebody I know, maybe I'll stick around. But if it's somebody I don't know, if it's a stranger or a business or an organization I'm unfamiliar with, there is nothing you can do or say that will make me move on faster than if the first thing if you start the content with, whether it's written or video or whatever, the first thing out of your mouth is about you, right? We blah, 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 blah. Like, nope, I'm out. I don't care because I don't even know who you are, right? Like, it doesn't make any difference to me how great you think you are if I don't know who you are and I don't have any reason to think you're great myself. So that's one of the things that I think people really get wrong. So ultimately for me, when I know something is going to deliver value is when I know that they're putting the audience first, right? When you put the audience first, that's when you know that they're likely to bring some value to things. So that's that's what I think. That's what I look for in communications, whether it's written or video. But we were talking about TikTok or Reels earlier, right? With short form video content. Ultimately, what I look for is it about the audience? First and foremost, is it about the audience? And if it's audience first, I'm going to stick around and at least give it a chance. But if it's all about you, probably not. Probably not.
That's fair, man. I appreciate that. I have a platform. Me. So on a platform that I have called Motivation Champs, where we try to share inspiration, positivity, and smiles every day. So people will share that their kid got an A. People will share that a sunset. People share all kinds of content. So really, it's seldom about me. So the goal is for everybody. You have something positive, come on over to Facebook. It's called Motivation Champs. You have something that lifted your spirits, whether it's a quote, a video, share it there. Now, I say this, but some people will come on and it'll be about their business. And I'm like, hey man, if you want to share something, come on over. If it can inspire the masses, bring it on over, And every time it's the same thing of something about the business, something about the business, something about the business. I'm not sure how I wasn't clear. And then sometimes other times people come on that have never posted anything. And it's like, vote for me in this contest, vote for me in this contest. I'm like, come on, man. So that does depress me. I hear what you're saying. And our friend John Jay will say he never, in his radio show and podcast, he never puts names in the description. So we're going to go on to Steven. Steven looks like he's got some, I'm looking at a profile picture. It looks like it could be the Northern Lights maybe, or the eclipse in his picture. So I need to know that because I'm intrigued, as Jason says, I'm intrigued and want to know more about that. But Steven, what grabs your attention is what we're talking about today. What do you got for us?
And that is the Northern Lights in Northern California. That's what it is. You were right the first time. What grabs and intrigues me is art. I'm completely like inept when it comes to like TikTok and all that stuff. But I'm an artist. And as an artist, I'm generally kind of a reclusive person. So it's really hard for me to get out there. People who know I'm an artist are in my town. They buy my art from me, but I really enjoyed what Tom had to say. I mean, whenever you're engaging the public, you should be engaging them for, I hate to say their entertainment, but their entertainment and education. What I do, I'm a glass blower. And it's really a solitude, a very solitary pursuit. You don't want people around you freaking staring at the freaking 2,000-degree flame and so on and so forth. So I just was taking what Tom had to say and yeah, okay, that's pretty easy to make it not about me, because I'm not the type of person that likes to put myself out there. So and I've been a medical cannabis cultivator here in California for 27 years. So the last thing medical cannabis cultivators want to do is put themselves out on Front Street. But yeah, no, I was just kicking back, listening to the conversation, and yeah, thanks for letting me talk.
Thanks for sharing that, Stephen. Yeah, I think, look, like I said before, I think value comes in all kinds of forms, right? So sometimes it's entertainment, sometimes it's information, sometimes it's education. It just really it depends on what the organization is looking to do, what value they're trying to provide for their audience, whoever's creating the content. So I think it comes in a lot of forms. It doesn't necessarily have to be laugh out loud funny right off the bat, right? In fact, I know that sometimes I click on stuff or I watch something because it makes me laugh, and sometimes I watch something because it piques my curiosity, right? Like Jason was talking about earlier, right? It grabs my curiosity and I want to learn more. But yeah, it's always value. I mean, it always, look, unsurprisingly for me, it comes down to value, right? I'm value first. That's my whole thing, is trying to provide value first above everything else. So yeah, no, I appreciate your thoughts and your feedback there. And I get that, not everybody wants to put themselves out front and center. But you don't have to. It doesn't have to be about you, right? And you don't even have to be the face of it. Ultimately, it should be about your audience. So
That's why I was like, it's kind of easy for me because all the content that I'm creating nowadays is and it even feels weird to say that, but the content that I'm creating is all about the glass work and people enjoying watching me blow glass, because how often do people get to see anybody blow glass? It's a very solitary, activity because of the nature of things. You don't want a piece of glass exploding and your friend getting burned, So it's just kind of things that I do.
Steven, do you have a page where, like a YouTube channel or something, where people can watch you? Actually, you have some cameras set up where it's almost like ASMR or something, where people can check out you doing your work?
Yeah, for shits and giggles live streamed on Facebook the other day, so you can go to my Facebook. It's just Stephen Elliott, and just my friend he's trying to help me with this getting recognized and helping me make money. So I just started a TikTok. I don't even know how to. Let me go to my TikTok.
Look me up, man. I'm going to follow you, and but I love this idea. So here's where I'm going from. Like the show Deadliest Catch. And Tom, what were you on? Coast Guard. What was your show that you were on? Coast Guard Alaska? Was that it?
The show I did, show I made up in Alaska was Coast Guard Alaska. Yeah,
Coast Guard Alaska. I love the idea. So something that captivates me is a world I don't know. So I am intrigued. I want to be everywhere I don't know about. So let's say The Amazing Race. I want to show The Amazing Race. They take me quickly through all these other countries. They take me through cities. I am seeing a world I don't know. And they expose you to other things going on there, the cultures a little bit. So Stephen, this concept of blowing glass, introducing people into a world they don't know. There was a TikToker on here that made signs, and he had millions of followers. He used to stop in the room once in a while. He made signs, and he had cameras set up in his shop where he's making these signs and boxing them up and things like that. And there was millions of people following. Like I told my kids about it. They were like, "Oh, we watch this show." Millions of people watching somebody make boxes, because it's a world. So as Tom said, it doesn't have to be you. It could be the point of view, looking over at you or towards your project. Okay, Tom, I've talked too long. Eric had something to say. It looks like Heather might have something to say. So I am going to get to them. Eric, what grabs your attention?
Well, I'm sort of backing up a bit.
Go ahead, man.
So my son, who's 15, is the complete opposite of me. Like walks into a room and can leave after 2 hours and not know anybody or anything about anything. And I'm the other. It's like, well, if I'm going to be here, I might as well get something out of the room, the people, the experience. And so we were at dinner the other night, and I was explaining, like, look, you had this chance. You're standing in front of a Division I lacrosse player, your goal, your dream, your desire, but you said nothing. What's up? And he's like, well, he doesn't want to know about me. And I'm like, no, honey, you got it backwards. You need to ask him questions about him, and then he'll connect to you and ask questions about you. People want to know that you care. Like, I was like, and I gave him like 20 right up. I'm like, just that. If you're focused on you, then the camera's turned the wrong way, is, what we always say, right? And so I was trying to teach him, it's like, when you want people to move closer to you, you have to start by moving closer to them. And my favorite thing is people will send me like, hey, have you ever thought about writing a book? I'm like, you didn't even read my profile. like that is not going to work. You didn't even move an inch towards me and ask. So, on the same way, if I'm watching TV, it's like, if I feel like they're like trying to put something in me, then I'm going to sit around. But if I feel like Kardashian thing, then I'm like, no, sorry. I'm not a voyeur. I'm an experiencer. I want an experience. So I'll close out there. Good to see you guys. I have not been here forever. And so I love the fact that coming back, getting to see the smartest guys in the room makes the day.
Now that you're here, we have the smartest guy in the room. Thank you. And we, like, seriously, Tom said thank you before, but we do appreciate anybody that comes for 5 minutes, 6 months later. We get life, right? It's like, I really consider this like a radio station where some days you got 20 minutes and you can tune in. Some days you're on the phone that ride, you can't tune in. Some days you're listening to your GPS that day, can't tune in. Get it? But we appreciate when you find us again at any point. So thank you. And we try to stay consistent on message. We're getting better at that. We're not rambling as much. I mean, I'll still talk about my tan. We might talk about Tom's suit that he wears riding his bike or other things. Go on, Tom.
All right. It's called a tri-suit, Dom, for the
suit.
80th
I said
time.
suit. Yeah,
it's called a tri-suit. And I only really wear it for some very targeted training and races. So it's not like that's what I wear every time I ride my bike, because it's not.
Huh. Okay, so I'm just going to read the comments real quick here, just while Tom
I'm
brings
just
it
going to
up.
mute
So,
you real fast. No, I hold on a second. I did have something I wanted to say to Eric. That like when he was talking about facing the camera the right direction, right? It reminded me of that kind of old saying, and I think it's attributed to Eleanor Roosevelt or Teddy Roosevelt. I'm not sure who said. It's a Roosevelt. I always get it mixed up, but the saying was that nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Right. And the idea is that the shortest distance, the shortest path towards getting someone to care about you is to demonstrate to them that you care about them first. Right. And you can think about this, how evident this is in our daily interactions with people. If you say to someone or demonstrate to someone that you care about them, they will automatically reciprocate that care. They will return that care. Right. So I think it's just important to remember that like, when you're thinking about what direction to point the camera, how to sort of craft your messaging and decide what you're going to talk about and what you're going to create, is just remember, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So tell them how much you care first, and then they'll want to know what you're there to say, right? They'll be ready to listen to you. So care first, information second. Lead with story, follow with facts, right? So I just wanted to reiterate that. And Dom, I think now we're a couple of minutes late, but that's okay, because I was late getting here this morning, because we had for everybody who doesn't know, my wife and I are very rapidly approaching her due date for our daughter. And we're 4 weeks away from the due date as of today. And so we were at a doctor's appointment this morning, and I was a little bit late getting back, hit some traffic on the way back, and standard doctor's office stuff, right? They were late calling us back. We were there early. They were late calling us back. We had to wait a little bit. So anyway, it happens, right? But we were a couple of minutes late. So we're a couple of minutes late getting to show and tell. So I'm curious to see what Dom has to share with us today. And if you're not watching on video, now is the perfect time to jump over to one of the video platforms we're on, so you can see what show and tell Dom's going to share with us. So Dom, what do you got?
okay, and I learned in this show, we hope that you can take away something, like hopefully this week, maybe you take away something that captivates viewers and then you use it in your own world. So last week, Tom said I put something on the screen too quick. So this week I will use that, and I will slow down rather than flashing something real quick that you aren't able to see on camera. So today, I live in a town called Greensburg, Pennsylvania. About 10 minutes from where I live, there's a lot of great humans that have come from Greensburg, but about 10 minutes from where I live is Latrobe, Pennsylvania, where Fred Rogers is from, and Fred Rogers is epic, and we love him. But also one of the greatest Americans ever is from Latrobe, Sir Arnold Palmer, and this is an Arnold Palmer bobblehead. And Arnold Palmer was an everyday guy that smoked on the course, let the crowd walk up the course with him, and they called it Arnie's Army when they walked up the course beside him. So Arnold Palmer, this is my Arnold Palmer bobblehead that is in all his glory. I'm a bobblehead guy. I wish I had more bobbleheads. But Arnold Palmer rules. I love his life story. I love his lemonade and iced tea, and overall just a great American that even flew his own planes. Just a cool guy. So there you go, Tom. Arnold Palmer bobblehead.
I like it. I'm also a fan of the drink, and the drink makes perfect sense when you think about it, right? Like, I mean, who doesn't, like, you go to a restaurant, any restaurant, right? Even even in the South, a lot of times, even if you get sweet tea somewhere, it'll come with a lemon wedge on the glass, right? Like you will get lemon. So like it seems like such an obvious idea to combine a little bit of lemonade with some iced tea. But man, like of all the things that Arnold Palmer did, I think genuinely, I think like one of the coolest things would be to have like sort of a common, even like canned and distributed beverage, right? Like an Arnold Palmer named after you. That would be pretty cool. I'd be pretty stoked if like, you know, I left behind a legacy of having a common drink named after me. Maybe that's something I should have in the back of my mind one of these days. I'll create a drink. It doesn't have to be an alcoholic drink. Could be something as simple as an Arnold Palmer with just some iced tea and lemonade, whatever. But having a drink named after me would be kind of cool.
That's spot on, man. I filmed that show Bikes and Hikes. We're always thinking about what we could like think products that would go along with it. You know, oh, we do shirts. Oh, we do a drink. It should be a cookie, whatever. The other day we were filming and we thought bug spray, a repellent, because we are repellents, me and my co-host that I do it with. So we're like, bug spray, that might be it. All right, now, Tom, I got to read these comments before we get on. No muting me. So we're going to start with Heather. Heather says, hi, Brandon. Then I'm reading Clubhouse comments. Anytime if somebody wants to comment on LinkedIn, we'd love to have your question. Heather says, Arnold Palmer is my favorite drink. Well, she is wise. Then you mentioned the word obvious before. So April says, which video platform can you pin a link? So imagine we've been doing this now, live streaming it for a year, probably, maybe more. And we never got the bright idea to put the link of the live stream on Clubhouse. So we will do better. That makes
well. I
sense.
think in our defense, Dom, I think we have done that a lot of times. And actually, in the description of the room, I think it says follow us on social media. You know, at Motivation Champs and at Talex Media, and if you search either one of those, you're gonna find one of the live streams. Because we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Twitch. So if you just plug in either Talex Media or Tom Langan or Dominick Domasky or Motivation Champs into that little Google search bar, you'll be able to find us no problem. So the other thing too is not for nothing, but like which platform do we pin a link to, right? Because you can't pin a link to all the platforms. So then we have to sort of decide what platform people want to watch us on, right? Like, and last but not least, and then I'll end my little rant here. But the other thing too is if we post a link in Clubhouse, it's only accessible to the people in Clubhouse, which means that if you are listening in or watching anywhere else, that link does you no good. So I just want to be clear on that. And by no means, April, was that intended as any sort of commentary on your comment. I just wanted to be clear for everyone, whether you're here on Clubhouse or you're anywhere else at any time watching or listening to this, you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, or here on Clubhouse. And all you have to do is search either Motivation Champs or at Motivation Champs or at Talex Media LLC, and you'll find us.
Yeah, I've been sober 13 years. So when I go to the bar to hang out with my friends, the Arnold Palmer is the go-to drink. Thank you for mentioning Mr. Palmer. And yeah, what a freaking lofty goal. And hit it, Tom. Get it, Tom. I'll drink it. I'll drink a Tom. As long as it doesn't have alcohol in it.
There you go. I appreciate it, Stephen. I'll keep working on that. I'll workshop the name a little bit because I think a Tom is maybe not great. It could be a Tom Langan. I don't know. you know, I had a nickname for a long time. A bunch of friends of mine used to call me LJ because they all knew my dad. Also, my dad's name is also Tom Langan. Although I'm not a junior, we have different middle names. But they called me LJ for Langan Jr. So an LJ maybe has
Is
a
it
little bit
Tom
of
or
ring to it.
Thomas?
Say that again, Stephen.
Is it Tom or Thomas? Because a Thomas Langdon, you know, that sounds like a pretty good drink.
There you go. Well, yeah, it is. My full name is Thomas, but I go by Tom. So yeah, I don't know. Something I'll work on. I gotta workshop it. I gotta come up with some ideas. What do you think, Dom?
I say ask ChatGPT, and you'll get some answers for you. All right, hold on here. Now I got to finish these comments here, Tom. I just want to keep something wants me to keep reading these, so I got to go through. So okay, April, which platform? But if she's on Clubhouse, it would make sense because she's listening there. So okay, Brandon says hi, Heather. Jim Aj says catsuit. I wonder what he means catsuit. So okay, Steven
sounds like he's confused.
Yeah, Steven is sharing his TikTok with us. Rebel. It is Rebel Stoner 5. REBELSTONER 5. Let's give this guy a follow over on TikTok. Help him out. He's guys sharing his story. He's trying to figure out how. So let's follow him, see what he's got going on. So Tom, what do you say, my man? Are you ready? You ready for a wrap up, or have I caught you by surprise?
No, I think we could wrap it up. I think basically, if I think back on what we talked about, and even just, you know, as we tend to do before we, you know, at the beginning of every week, we tend to trade some emails back and forth, looking at what we're going to talk about in this week's episode, in this week's show. And, you know, this week we talked about, or we, you know, went back and forth about what grabs your attention, what engages you. And I think for me, you know, as I've said kind of throughout, it all comes down to providing value. And so I just want to share a quick little sort of story, a little anecdote about that. So I was fortunate enough over the course of actually writing my book, Legendeering, I was fortunate enough to get to know a woman who ultimately, you know, became a bit, was a bit of a mentor for me, and is an incredibly inspiring person. Her name is Geraldine Laybourne, and she's the former president of Nickelodeon. You might have heard of them. If you grew up in the 80s and 90s, you've definitely heard of them, right? They were sort of the preeminent children's channel of the day and on cable, right? And one of the things that Jerry told me was, in the course of a conversation we had, she told me that when she first started at Nickelodeon, they were kind of a loss leader for their parent company, right? They were about $5 million, I think, in the hole, in the red, and they were not long for cable. They didn't think that they were actually going to stick around. They didn't see the longevity in it. They were a sinking ship, so to speak. And relatively early on in her tenure at Nickelodeon, Jerry ended up moving up to becoming the programming director. And when she did, she kind of pushed an initiative that made a huge shift in the approach that Nickelodeon took towards how they create their content and the kind of content they create. And that shift was really inspired by the fact that her background is in early childhood education. And in early childhood education, one of the things that is paramount is making learning fun, right? Making learning entertaining. And she shifted the mission of Nickelodeon towards entertaining and engaging children and connecting them with each other and their world, right? That became the mission of Nickelodeon. It was really all audience first, right? And that she credits as the pivotal point in their history as an organization. From when Jerry took over as the programming director, under her stewardship and under her leadership, Nickelodeon went along to not only dig themselves out of that multi-million-dollar hole that they were in, but they went on to have a multi-billion-dollar valuation and be the #1 network on cable television. Not the #1 children's network, right? The #1 network on cable television, right? When she left Nickelodeon about 12 years after she took over. And so I share that story because I think it is a really clear demonstration of just how impactful a strategy of audience first can be when it comes to creating content. So if you want to grab the attention of your audience, if you want to engage your audience, then I think the shortest path there is to figure out first who your audience is, create that avatar, answer those questions, right? As if you're trying to give them a gift, as if somebody has said to you, hey, I need you to buy a gift for them. Ask the questions you would ask if you were going to buy a gift for someone, and then give them the gift, right? Give them the value, deliver for those people. And you will see them engage with your content because you are creating content that delivers value to them and you're doing it deliberately. So that's what I got for this week. Give that gift. That's the best advice I can give. And maybe while you're mulling it over, enjoy an Arnold Palmer, if you're so inclined. I just want to say thank you for everybody for being here this week. I apologize again for being a little bit late. It was unavoidable, but I appreciate everyone being here nonetheless. As always, I appreciate my friend and co-host Dom for holding down the fort, starting the room on Clubhouse without me, and being patient with my tardiness. Thanks so much, Dom. Even though you did manage to sneak in the catsuit comment, I knew that's where you were going to. I mean, come on. You weren't hiding anything from anyone. But yeah, appreciate you, Dom, and appreciate each and every one of you for being here with us every week. Appreciate you for listening, participating, asking questions, sharing your knowledge and advice, and making sure that we live up to the title of this show. By being here, you ensure that Dom and I are not the smartest guys in the room. Until next Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, I hope everyone has a great rest of your week and a beautiful weekend. Enjoy, take care, deliver some value, and engage people with your content. Until next Wednesday, we'll see you guys soon. Love you. Thanks. Bye-bye.